Today I want to talk about certification. It's the process of getting a license to operate a recycling program in the state of California. And California has a number of programs pertaining to recycling and composting, and they all require involvement and participation in some sort of approval process. In beverage containers, it's called certification. Consider it licensing. What's happening in certification is that there's a lot of confusion as to what their real purpose is and what their job is. It's evolved into is making it as difficult as possible to get into the program. That's in the certification process. Then we get into the operations. We get into renewal, where we've been in business for some time and it's time to renew. And there are problems. So we get into the business, you submit your application, everything that's required by certification regulations is submitted, and then they go outside of that, and they take a long time. Now, if you've gone out to secure a piece of property, you're paying rent, a lease on that, and you don't know how long it's going to be before you can put your business plan into operation, run a business, start making money, and pay off that investment, you've got a problem because they don't care. And they've stayed far outside of their statutory limitations, which they created. In the operation of a business, everybody's put on probationary certification. That's one thing that should be changed. If there are standards and you meet standards that would permit you to have a permanent certification, there's no reason why you shouldn't be immediately certified for a 5-year period. By keeping you in probationary certification, you're at risk. Your investment is at risk. Your life is at risk. And that's a problem. Now, you come up for renewal, and it's now a fresh shot. They can take a fresh shot at you and take you out of permanent status and put you into probationary status. Why? Because it's better for them. If they want to get rid of you, it makes it easier for them. This is not the proper care and feeding of California businesses, and they must be protected against arbitrary abuse of force. In the renewal process, if they take you out of permanent status for some made-up reason, your investment and the future of your business is hanging by a thread if they choose to enforce. Another thing I want to discuss is DORIS, Division of Recycling Integrated Information System. DORIS was a computer boondoggle that they got into when they had too much money and not enough supervision. And they bought this system. Probably the best comment about it was former chief of enforcement, Halligan, said in a public meeting, DORIS costs too much, so we're going to be forced to use it. When a state agency is going to get involved with a computer system that the regulated community is going to be required to deal with, then the regulated community should be a part of the decision making, should be a part of the deliverables, deciding the deliverables. To get DORIS, they said it would reduce the amount of certification time from 45 days to 14 days. So why did they ask for it to change to 60 days with a 30-day review period, 90 days in total? These things can't be allowed. DORIS has already been abused. There was a case that I dealt with where the recycler was being asked to close by the department because a competitor wanted to open up and wanted to be eligible for subsidies. And it was relayed to the recycler. The problem was the recycler didn't have to close, but now the department wanted them closed. How did they do it? They unplugged DORIS. If you're a recycler and you're paying out a lot of money for CRV, and mind you, CRV is a lot of money. It's far more than any profit you'll make on the material. If you can't have any ability to get that reimbursed, you lose money quickly. And so there has to be a governor on doors as to how you get in and how you get out without an abuse of power. There must be standards imposed on these computer systems, these payment systems, and there must be checks and balances. And if there's a mistake, there must be a quick remedy. This has to be imposed on the payments. Now, last summer, what did we see from the rumors? And I didn't get into it in detail, but it sounded as if the controller came up with a different check writing system, check paying system, and it meant that recyclers went months without reimbursement. Processors who have hundreds of thousands of dollars immediately moved into millions and millions of dollars outstanding. And many of them couldn't take it. They were forced to stop providing processing services, or recyclers were forced to stop recycling services, or another check that wasn't being cut, or the handling fee, the subsidy checks to the convenience zones. Let's talk about this and all the discussions of convenience zone operators. And finally, program assistance. Statute requires the department to provide program assistance, but guess what they don't do? They don't provide any assistance. Now, let's get on the record. During the program review meetings that were held in 2013, 2014, I attended many of them, and I spoke the same thing over and over again, that the department has to deal with assisting, with training. And what was I told? I was told by the then Deputy Director Ortiz that they heard me and that they were going to impose training and testing. And they did this by putting it into a budget bill and then adopting emergency regulations. That was at the end of 2013. Guess what? We're still working on emergency regulations. No one has ever gotten to say that what was imposed was extremely burdensome, was unnecessary, that there are better ways. The department has to emphasize program assistance. And any program that the legislature puts together, they must provide for assistance, okay? We're all going through this together, supposedly. And so you have new bureaucrats coming in. They need to be instructed, help, assist, or they won't. That's been the culture. And finally, the law said that any person who receives and retains CRV for out-of-state material is violating the law. Now, CalRecycle has interpreted that as being the problem of the recycler. I say it's the problem of CalRecycle and the industry dealing with those that are importing. The recycler is obligated to buy, and there's been no regulations excluding the recycler's responsibility to buy, only in the minds of CalRecycle. So if any of these programs that are providing payments to participants, to those participating in these programs, there must be protections included for those payments, or these businesses are getting into something that they can be forced out of, being bankrupt in no time at all. And business needs to know that. Thank you.